Second hour of the nightly show. Away we go. Bobby Lee and Brendan Schaub face to face. Khlyla, Brendan Schaub, and Bobby Lee. I hope you guys are into this shit as much as I am. If not, I don't give a fuck because this stuff is fascinating. This is, other than the morning shows and the evening shows, our live stream shows, our biggest video since we've come to YouTube has been Bobby Lee and Khlyla on Ethan's show. You know, us reacting to that and talking about that.
Yep.
Well, Brendan Schaub, I'll give him credit for this. He went on Bobby Lee's podcast. But let me take back some of that credit, if you will, and say, if you will, baby, because you see the thing is about Brendan Schaub. Let me take the credit away from him a little bit going, I think the only reason he's going on their podcast is because, A, the fighter and the kid is dying.
But I thought it was dead.
His comedy special is death personified. It's at like a 1.1 on IMDb. It's dreadful, and it's really bad. And as much as I think Ethan Klein is a complete douche, he did have a great point in saying you can't really call it a special. It's a straight-to-YouTube stand-up performance.
Right, that's not a special.
Like his first special, as bad as it was called You'd Be Surprised. As bad as it was, Showtime produced it and aired it. That's a special. Legit, fine. This was a 25-minute comedy set at a comedy club that he put up on YouTube.
Okay.
That's not a special. If that's a special, in August when we do the anniversary show, I'll release my comedy special.
There you go.
I mean, it's not... A special should be, dare I say...
Special.
I think Brendan Schaub went on Bobby Lee's podcast because Brendan Schaub has been people hated the comedy show. People think he's a douche. They thought that for years. But it was the Bobby Lee thing where little innocent, anxiety-ridden, scared shitless Bobby Lee, and in fairness, his overbearing girlfriend, who seems to kind of enjoy the drama and doesn't really give a shit that Bobby Lee would really rather live a more private existence on shit like this. They saw Brendan Schaub and his friends bullying Bobby Lee, who you can't watch Bobby Lee and dislike him.
No, he's a sweet little dude.
He's a sweet little Asian man. It's like he's like a less confident version of James Wong or James Hong, whatever the fuck the old guy is in Balls of Fury and all those other movies. At any rate.
I think it's James.
My question was on the Hong or Wong part.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway, Brendan goes on the show, and I want to believe that Brendan did it because he's just such a goddamn stand-up dude or whatever, or he's finally taking some responsibility. I think he's getting buried in this whole thing.
Okay.
And he had to save his own ass, so he decided to go on there. If he went on there to save his own ass, I'll let you guys decide, but mission not accomplished. Full disclosure, where I'm getting this video from is a guy that I actually want to have on our show eventually here because he's a guy that Brendan Schaub either threatened to sue or filed a lawsuit against and actually got the guy's YouTube channel taken down for a while. His name's Kyle. He has a channel called Unique Entertainment, and he does a lot of these videos on people like Brendan Schaub and other people. He's kind of he's Red Bar-esque, and he plays these little clips and then gives his little take afterwards. Go subscribe to him. He's great. He's awesome. Listen to the Tiger Belly podcast. Subscribe to it. Great. Wonderful. Here's Brendan Schaub defending himself to Bobby Lee and Khlyla over this whole bullying accusation.
Got it.
Now, the bullying accusation comes from the fact that Khlyla, to catch people up, I'm sorry for putting this off, and we are going to have to pause a lot because it's a fair use issue. We have to pause and provide transformative content. Khlyla, Bobby's girlfriend, was doing a podcast, and one of the girls said that a comic whose initials were BS asked her to follow him to his car, and allegedly the insinuation was suck his dick.
Classy.
Never said it was Brendan Schaub. I think said the initials were BS. Then they immediately started joking, saying, oh, Bob Saget. Brendan decided to start defending himself from these allegations, of which he was never actually named.
Don't you love that?
Doesn't usually make you look too innocent.
No, it makes you look like you did it.
Yes. So then I guess he and Khlyla have a discussion, and they agree not to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
We'll bury it. It's in the past. Brendan Brendan's getting heat for his podcast. Brendan's getting heat for his shitty comedy special. Hey, I don't need any other bad stories about me. So they agree not to talk about it. Mushmouth dipshit, brain damage UFC fighter Brendan Schaub goes on a podcast like a couple days later and starts talking about the Bobby Lee shit.
Word vomit.
The day before, or a couple days before, Bobby Lee is scheduled to go on, again, as big of a douche as Ethan is, one of the bigger podcasts on YouTube.
Oh, it's still real big, yeah.
Million views a shot. And spill his guts. Wasn't going to talk about the Brendan thing, but then Brendan talked about it. Khlyla and Ethan started talking about it. So Bobby started talking about it. And the internet, which can't agree on anything, all decided that Bobby Lee was in the right. Bobby Lee's the victim here. And we should all rally around Bobby.
Got it.
Here it is. Brendan Schaub with Bobby Lee and Khlyla on Tiger Belly.
Store guys. And, so when you guys called, it was you and Bryan, and you said that that you guys, my career was going to be over. That you guys have evidence, you know what I mean? That I'm some Reddit mastermind. That you have.
To fill you in on this, Brendan Schaub and Bryan Callan, who do The Fighter and the Kid together, a show which is like half listened to by fans and half listened to by people who fucking
haters.
hate him. Yeah, exactly. They claim Brendan Schaub is one of these phonies who's really into his image, but he can't live up to his image. And so he has to constantly say shit that goes against the way he behaves. And it's really awkward for everyone around him because you're like, dude, we're watching you. We can see you. Stop saying that this is what you're about. Like, if you're obsessed with the chat or you're obsessed with criticism or whatever, my advice to you if you're going to be a streamer is just be honest about that and tell your audience, like I always do. I'm like, guys, I'm having one of those days where the chat's fucking with me. It's a little bit of a weird day. I think, like I had this morning. If you could
just be cool today.
If you could just be cool, whatever. But what you can't do is antagonize and go, I don't give a fuck what any of these people say. I don't even read the fucking comments. I don't give a shit about the haters. Fuck the haters. We're so dope. We're so fucking cool, bro. You guys, to quote Royce Lopez about Brendan Schaub and Bryan Callan, you guys don't crush puss or play sports. You know, they're those
What better way to get people talking shit?
One of them's 40 years old. The other one's 55 years old. I mean, guys, come on. That's the other thing. Bobby's 50, for Christ's sake. You guys, they don't want to be dealing with this shit. But Brendan and Bryan have this thing where they go, fuck the haters, we don't pay attention. This whole thing, this whole argument right now, forget the blowjob part, this whole part of the argument is Brendan and Bryan were so obsessed with their haters that they went on the Fighter and the Kid Reddit, started reading all the negative comments, and then ran an IP check to find out where they were coming from.
That's a little obsessive, is it not?
Even if you give a shit what the haters think, finding out where they live or where they're emitting
creepy.
These messages from, that makes you a lunatic. So that's what they're talking about here. They ran, when Bobby Lee says, you accused me of being a Reddit mastermind, they looked into the IP addresses of their haters that they don't care about.
Oh, they don't care, but...
And I guess, like, a lot of them led back to Tiger Belly, which I don't know how they fucking determined that. I think that's bullshit. And then they called Bobby Lee, and because Bobby is such a weak, timid guy, they said, we're going to say bad shit about you to Rogan. You'll never be on Rogan's podcast. We're going to make sure, we're going to talk some shit at the comedy clubs and other comics we know, and we know a lot of people, and you're fucking done, Bobby. We're going to ruin your career. And thankfully now this is all getting out so we can see what kind of pieces of shit they are. Brendan Schaub on the Fighter and the Kid fell on the sword and actually admitted that it was him doing this stuff on the phone call, which I don't believe for a second. I think it was both of them. But here's the interaction now that you're all filled in.
Files and proof that you can trace, me from Reddit back to my house, the URL,
IP address.
And by the way, this is how you know it's not Bobby. He has no idea what the fuck any of this means.
No.
You were on some Reddits, and then there was a URL that was at my house. IP, Bobby. Oh, IP.
Nothing screams that you don't care, though, more than looking up IP addresses.
Dude, I don't think Nixon went this far.
No.
Brendan Schaub goes further than Nixon.
Address, and that I have been, for 5 or 6 years, have been coyly and mischiefully, contributing to threads that were
Not contributing.
What?
Didn't you say it was, well, from what you had said, that we were responsible.
Okay, and as much as Khlyla can be a drama queen and everything else, and she's kind of annoying, she does actually, where Bobby Lee being timid would let a lot of shit go. She kind of latches on in this argument.
Okay.
And Bobby Lee's like, you're saying that I was writing bad things? She's like, no, Bobby. Don't let him off the hook. He's saying you were commanding a lot of it and running all of the bad shit. Like, look at Bobby Lee for 3 seconds and tell me that he would organize a mass Reddit hit against people.
No.
If you say Bobby's only moderately funny, that's going to send him into a hysterical tailspin for 3 weeks and he's not getting out of bed.
He won't sleep at night.
Right. So you think he's going to organize a mass Reddit campaign? One person would call it gay and he'd cry.
right? And that, that you were going to expose me to Rogan and all these people,
Dude,
and
that
that I should get a
sucks.
lawyer, and that this is what you had told me. And
I don't even like I don't like drama, bro. He's one of those guys. I focus on positivity, bro. Behind the scenes, you got a few haters on Reddit, and then all of a sudden, I'm never gonna let you go on Rogan. As if Brendan Schaub called Joe Rogan would go, oh yeah, Brendan, I won't have Bobby Lee on anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure Joe would go for that.
Joe would tell you to go fuck yourself, Brendan.
and also, just mind you, it was at a level 10 of rage. It wasn't like a soft-spoken,
Very aggressive.
Yeah, it was extreme, threats. And then you called Khlyla things I don't even want to mention.
I did not.
I know you didn't.
I haven't heard what you guys.
So this is the shitty part.
Wow.
Brendan and Bryan Callan were on the phone at the same time yelling at Bobby Lee, screaming at him. He even said, a level of 10, you were fucking screaming at me.
Okay.
And apparently Bryan Callan, from what I gather from that, called Khlyla a cunt and all kinds of
Nasty
other
things,
names.
yeah.
Names that were apparently so bad that even Brendan's going, whoa, I did not. I mean, you can allege that I asked a girl to suck my dick by my truck. That's fine. But
I'd never call her a name, though.
never call her. I don't do name calling, bro. I'll look up your IP address, but I won't call you a cunt. I draw
have
some
boundaries.
I have boundaries, goddammit. I'm a man of simple morals.
I said I don't talk like that. I would never call Khlyla that. That's
Right.
not in my
Brendan,
privilege.
you called me that on the phone call.
I'm turning the corner on Khlyla.
No, I do like people like that don't let people off the hook.
Right. It's this whole thing where he's like, I would never say that. And Bobby's like, all right, we'll move on for the good of the conversation. He's like, no, fuck that. You called me some shit. You're killing my whole image I've been building for myself. What are you doing? I'm just a big dumb meathead.
Well, he's kind of ruining his own image.
You think?
Yeah.
I did not call you that.
Brent,
I did not.
No, but you don't know what they said, so you can't.
The stuff that I got was pretty on par to just about the worst thing you could tell somebody.
Brian apologized. What Brian said on there, and even I told him that was a lot.
You motherfucker! You went on here to take responsibility, and as soon as you get in front, this is what I mean by Brendan Schaub's a giant pussy, is that as soon as he gets in front of the people that he's talking mad shit about, he's like, oh, that was Bryan Callan. And by the way, guys, I told him that he went way too far.
I like that he pawns it off on the littler, older man.
Yeah. And from what I hear about this thing, Bryan Callan certainly admitted to his fair share of horseshit. And I think Bryan Callan admitted to that because Brendan Schaub has a special on YouTube right now that's getting buried, and he wanted to take the heat off his buddy, which, by the way, is not something Brendan Schaub did when old Bryan Callan got Me Too'd a year or two ago. You remember that?
Oh, I sure do.
Oh, you know what I remember? Brendan Schaub distancing himself from Bryan Callan, doing the fucking show without Bryan Callan for a year, and saying, oh, I've never seen him do that. I've never been around him while he's doing that.
Yep.
Wow.
Completely distanced himself.
So while your buddy takes a fucking bullet in his back for you because he wants you to be able to promote your special, you go on a podcast and go, that was Bryan Callan, and I told him that was too far.
Brendan.
You piece of shit, Brendan.
Brendan's over here like, Brian's reputation's already tarnished. How about you just take another one and save mine?
And you know what? That's exactly what this piece of shit is thinking, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But what I found to be heartbreaking was going into a character assassination where you were saying, not you in particular, I don't even remember what, because I was I was so trembling almost, calling me a coward, weak, spineless.
And Bobby Lee's about to explain the whole weak, spineless coward thing here. And until he said this, when I first listened to this, I went, well, no offense, Bobby. You do come off as very cowardly and spineless.
Yes.
But then he explained it, and I went, you know what? If I was like Bobby Lee, if I had that attitude, and I had two psychopaths yelling at me for some shit I have no idea what it is, and they're accusing me of all this, yeah, you know what? I'd probably take that road too.
Yep.
And my only defense to that is that I just have my own way of dealing with the world, you know what I mean? Because I grew up in such a traumatic childhood. I try to be passive, and I try to I'm afraid of confrontation, as everyone knows, in terms of my character. And
this is what I mean. Like, Brendan should just bow the fuck down, because this is like you're driving a stake through, like, a cripple's heart.
It's sad.
And you're trying to convince people, no, I have a reason to.
This guy deserved it.
Brendan, this is the sweetest man alive. He's helpless.
I don't know why anyone would pick on him. Is it because...
You know what it is? Because those two are fucking jocks, and that mentality never leaves somebody, and that they saw the little dork boy, and they could pressure him, and basically, like they said on H3, get your bitch in line.
Well, and how many times have you seen the person in life that is so nice to everyone, even when they don't deserve it, and then they just get walked all over all the time?
I said to Bryan days after that assault that I no longer want to be his friend.
And did you guys speak on the phone, or
yeah,
was
we
it just
did.
text?
Yeah,
And he
spoke on the phone.
apologized. He said,
yeah, he did apologize, but yeah, I mean,
he doesn't expect you to be his friend.
yeah, it's not. It's done.
Good for Bobby. Man, that made me feel good to hear that. Good for Bobby. Standing up for himself like that. No, fuck that guy. They were on Mad TV together. I mean, you don't do that shit to people, man. You don't take a guy you've been working with since the mid-90s, call him and accuse him. Again, Brendan and Bryan have severe mental illness and narcissism over their show, and their haters and their criticizers, and they just projected all of that onto Bobby. You psychopaths went onto Reddit and tried to look up people's IP addresses, and then with your limited fucking brains, who if, what's the old saying, if brains were trains, you couldn't power a locomotive outside the rim of a penny. You two did some crack investigative work, and you expect us to believe you found that Bobby Lee was responsible? Sorry.
Well, and
I don't buy it. So then you project that all onto Bobby because you think he's weak, and he'll do what you want, and you threaten his career. Ugh, these two deserve to go down hard for this one.
Well, and as if you can't have multiple IP addresses from one place, right? And they said that they were mostly coming all from him.
You can. I mean, it's
That's
possible.
a lot. What I'm trying to say is, how much extra work do we really think Bobby Lee would go through?
What if Bobby Lee has people on his staff that fucking hate the fighter and the kid and like fucking with Brendan Schaub? That's allowed.
That
Brendan,
could be,
how about Brendan? How about you and Bryan? It's hard to say their two names, by the way.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell them, keep them apart. B&B. B&B. Why don't you guys focus on why these people hate you so much and do a better show? Why don't you show a little humility in your stand-up comedy career and realize that after a year and a half, 2 years, you're not ready for a stand-up comedy special? Hit the clubs, stop sucking Joe Rogan's dick and coasting off of his accomplishments, figuratively sucking his dick, by the way. Stop coasting on his accomplishments, riding his coattails into spots you haven't earned, and then people won't shit on you. That's the problem, Brendan. In the comedy and podcast world, you landed on third base and you act like you hit a triple. So people are going to shit on you for it. And instead of doxing them and looking up their IP addresses, work harder. Gringo puppy. Work a little harder. Get better at it. Because no offense, buddy, you suck. You're doing a podcast and you can't pronounce words. That's a little wild.
Yes.
But, that being said, also, I will never say anything bad about him. I think that he is one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. I really do.
Bobby, you don't
Really?
have to do
Come
that.
on.
Bobby. Nobody would mind. Nobody would blame you if you spent the rest of your life going for the jugular on this motherfucker every day.
Well, this is another reason you know he's a good guy is because he's trying to defend himself, meanwhile feels the need to compliment the dude.
Right.
And can I give some context to that call?
No, please.
And we definitely, straight up, we definitely didn't handle that the way two adults should have handled that.
But let me now make excuses. See, people do this all the time. Let me deflect now. Brendan, that's all you should say.
Yes.
You should just say that and let these two chew you out for the next hour. That's it. Get up when you've taken enough and you're ready to leave.
Take your lashings and go home and lick your wounds.
Don't sit here and go, well, here's the context. You know how I called your girlfriend a cunt and threatened your entire career because I was mad that people on the internet don't like me? Let me explain it so I don't look like the biggest piece of shit right now.
The context behind that is I never talk about this stuff ever. Our podcast's usually fun. We don't talk about the negative stuff that I deal with. Bryan wasn't aware of the negative.
No offense, Brendan, but maybe you should. Did you ever think about that? Apparently it bothers you guys and it builds up and it gets to this point. Maybe you guys should talk about it. Maybe then you'd have a real podcast. Maybe then you'd have a real show. Maybe then showing that real emotion might make you more relatable to your audience and not make so many people think that you're some aloof dick who only got there because you rode the coattails of your more talented friends.
There's a chance.
Just throwing out a little help. Free consultation.
Negativity that I deal with, everybody gets stuff on Reddit. Everybody in this room, I don't know if you guys do. You guys do for sure. Yeah, I'm sure Khlyla does.
We all do.
Being a woman in this space.
Wouldn't that be funny if Brendan went, Khlyla does? That fucking whore cunt. And you're like,
I know.
Brendan!
I was waiting for something.
Brendan, you are not learning your lesson. Puppy, we're not learning your lesson, gringo puppy. Oh, what a fucking cringe douche.
Do you ever wish that you could just be a consultant for one of these crazy people for a day or two and just fix them?
I don't care if I'd fix them. I just want to tell them what's wrong with them.
But you'd be hired and getting paid for it?
Right, I get paid to tell Brendan Schaub everything that's wrong with him.
God,
that would be great.
So there's a difference between hate and then straight evil, toxic, criminal behavior. And for 6 years, I've dealt with this. Now, if you want to criticize...
It's called being a podcast host, motherfucker. I love how he acts like he's the only person who deals with really personal shit. Guess what? You get trolls, they talk about your kids. They talk about your family. That's what we've got them. You've got them.
We've certainly had our share.
It doesn't give you an excuse to call up people and threaten their careers because you think they might have some. First of all, so fucking what if Bobby Lee did have something to do with it? Which sounds ridiculous to even say. But let's say he did.
Do you think they ever have an attack of conscience where they're middle of yelling at him and trying to explain it away and they're like, God, maybe he didn't do it?
No,
but they're so pot committed, they've got to keep going.
They're two dumb jocks is what it is. They're two dumb jocks and that thought never entered their head.
My comedy, the podcast, so be it. That's the internet. That's what we signed up for. But when it crosses over into harassment of my family, death threats, my kids, going for sponsors, companies that I work with.
I bet your children are remarkably average. Oh, what are you going to do? I'm going on Rogan next week. Try to get me canceled.
I bet they only get C's in school.
I bet your kids can just adequately do their times tables enough to pass the test. That's it.
I bet they're only mediocre athletes.
I bet your children will pass their driver's test with a 72. That's what I think, Brendan.
Very specific.
I'm looking for a phone call.
My business, that's where it gets dicey. So
Say dicey
and it would have
again,
to get
asshole.
so dicey to the point.
Oh, hickory dickory dock. I wanted the comedian girl to suck my cock. Oh,
he listened though. You asked, and he gave it. Look at that.
Hickory dickory dancelled. I hope I don't get canceled. Oh. Hickory dickory doppy. I got a 1.1 rating for the Gringo Poppy. Is that what he means by dicey?
I guess so.
Point where my team gets notified on this because I'm not on social media. And sure as hell not on Reddit or any of these forums.
Yeah, that would be gay if you just spent all your time on Reddit looking up who's saying bad shit about you and then looking up their IP address.
I can't imagine.
Hey, Brendan, if you're going to lie about shit, don't tell the truth preemptively 3 minutes earlier. Yeah, we were going through Reddit, and we found IP addresses, so we called and threatened your career. By the way, I don't go on Reddit. I don't go on any of that stuff.
It's not my thing.
I'm not a Reddit guy. I mean, I can tell you exactly where every post came from. Like, that one's Tallahassee. But I don't really know.
I know every one of these people.
Reddit. That's Goosebear27. That guy's a real dick. He's trans.
He's from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm not on there, it's not because I think I'm better than social media. I don't need it. Of course I need it. I'm a comic.
It's that I can't read.
I can't read.
I'm not capable of going left to right. Do I go upsy downsy or downsy upsy? I always forget. I know
Never
I'm
go downsy.
I know I'm downsy upsy, but do I go upsy downsy or righty loosey? Which one? Is it righty loosey when you're reading? I can't remember.
No.
I'm not on it because it hurts my feelings.
No, that's how you take
Oh.
it hurts my feelings. Bobby Lee cries when you say he's got a hair out of place. You get no sympathy here, sir.
His hair is always perfectly out of place.
You'd think if you were too sensitive and it hurts your feelings, you wouldn't walk all over people like you're king shit and walk around stroking your own dick all the time like Brendan Schaub does. A tiny bit. Brendan, this is why you get shit. It's because you have zero sense of humility. You have zero self-awareness. You parade around like you're the shit. And then when people shit on you for it, you go, but it hurts my feelings. Ugh. Honestly.
I don't know.
You know how you could make him more intelligent? Do a brain transplant with the Mountain from season 6 of Game of Thrones. And he could maybe be a little more intelligent.
And swear an oath of silence.
Maybe that might help too.
Because I can't handle that stuff. I don't do well with it. It was so toxic, I got out.
Oh, I don't know, Brendan. You seem to be handling it well.
It was so toxic, I got out.
Yeah, they're toxic, Brendan. They're the problem.
You're entrusting a team to report back to you. And when you hear from that team, you're receiving it as gospel. This must be accurate information that I'm receiving from them.
These guys, yes. So this is how we get here. Good question. Yeah. So this is how we get here. So hate, I understand. There's a lot to hate on. But again, when it crosses...
The first thing Brendan and I have agreed on so far.
Yeah.
But everything he says, you'll notice, we got a couple minutes left here on this. Everything he cops to, he then tries to excuse away for the next 3 minutes. So he blows any goodwill he had.
Yeah.
That's over in a criminal and this other stuff, and they get notified, because a member of that group is using a 6-year-old child with autism, and then the Reddit moderator gets affected, and they...
Oh, I see. Brendan's doing this all for his kids. Oh, well, goddamn, Brendan, I'm sorry we ever criticized you. I didn't know you were doing it for your kids.
Always do it for the kids.
You know who probably gets a lot of shit about his kids? Tom Hanks. You don't see him calling and threatening people's careers.
He's got the yin and yang of sons.
You don't think he's ever gotten shit for Chet? Which he shouldn't. Chet's a national treasure. But he's probably gotten some shit from his highfalutin Hollywood friends. Oh, what the fuck is up with Chet? You don't see him going, call Spielberg. Tell him he'll never direct any of my fucking movies.
Dude, I bet Tom Hanks loves having the two opposite sons because the one son, that kind of stepped in his footsteps.
I'll go a step further.
The other one keeps that one in check.
I'll go a step further for you. I bet you Colin is constantly trying to impress his father and gain his love. But yet no matter what Chet does, Tom always talks to him more, loves him more, and dotes on him more. I bet you Chet's the favorite.
Not far off, I bet.
I bet. I would love it if that were the case.
If Tom is so sick of Colin trying to get up his asshole and just love him too hard.
God, Colin, you don't have to be an actor all the time.
They start talking.
Do some reggae rap like your brother.
Oh.
So then they look into it. And that's how we get here. And they look into it, and they go, hey, let you know, one of the 6 accounts that has done most of the posting is associated with Tiger Belly.
Yeah, their producer probably accurately finds you to be douchey.
But that also doesn't mean that Bobby's behind it.
Right.
Come on.
Bobby was too busy running away from a stranger, which turned out to be his shadow. It was a sunny day.
Now, with all the toxic hate, everything that I get, this awful stuff, I expect that from people I don't know. When I found out it was somebody that I know,
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's where the aggressiveness came from.
But is it true?
because his heart was broken, you guys. You see, Brendan's actually the good guy here because he has a kid with autism. Somebody on Reddit was hating on him and he was saying bad things about my family, and one of them was Tiger Belly. So I called your girlfriend a cunt and threatened your career. You see, I'm actually the victim here. Fuck you, Brendan.
Oh, come on. It always hurts worse from people you're close to. Give them a break.
Brendan, you are not smart enough to do this. This is an insult to all of our intelligence. Put your hands on the table, drop your drawers, and take your paddling like a man. You are a big buffoon. You are not good at this. Word. Oh, he is a buffoon.
Buffoonery.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Here, take my medicine.
I think this is not helpful because this happened a week and a half ago when, in fact, this drama, if we're going to talk about context, started in January. And I think while I really appreciate you being here, I truly believe you're a guy who cares for his family. I do believe you feel you're on the back foot here. And you feel like your livelihood is under attack. I understand the hurt all around that. But there is a lot more context to what you guys are talking about, which is that phone call that happened a week and a half ago. And
right. This is all Brendan doing PR damage control for himself and not, it's him starting with, I did wrong. And then it's, but my family and my kids, and I'm so.
Forget the phone call.
Were you thinking about your autistic kid when you yelled at Bobby? When you called his girlfriend names? When you threatened his career?
Which, by the way,
is that something that little puppy would have been proud of, Brendan?
Setting good examples for those kids.
Great examples, Brendan. You're such a sterling guy.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're getting a little late in the show. There's quite a bit of that. It's probably about 2 or 3 minutes left of that audio, but you get the idea.
Yep.
Thank you very much to Unique Entertainment. Support his channel. We want to get him on the show. He's a really good dude. That's Unique Entertainment. YEWNEEK. Unique Entertainment.